Hey, what's going on YouTube? HyperDark19 here, bringing you finally a new installment in my Battle Royale segment. In case you hadn't watched the first video, what I was trying to do with this series of videos was compare and contrast two cards that may or may not be competing for a spot in your deck that I think are very similar. I think one may be better than the other. Just analyze the differences. Last time I compared Red Nova Dragon and Shooting Star Dragon, but this time I'm not doing monsters. I'm going to be comparing two spell cards and taking the initiative to promote one of my favorite cards of one of my favorite spell cards of all time, and something that I think is really, really broken this format, but I don't know why anyone is playing, why people wouldn't be playing Nobleman of Extermination. Now, first off, to kind of give an intro as to why I'm doing it about this card. A few days ago, I went to a local tournament at my local card shop, and with my quick draw deck, you've all heard me go on and on about this deck and how cool it is. Long story short, I went 3-2, got number 14 out of 33 players, which I think was pretty darn good. My wins were against offering gadgets, agents, and samurais, and my losses. Well, congrats to those players, especially the agent player. I'm not sure. I never found out his name, but he was a really good player, obviously, and it was just really my win in that case was just a question of luck and his not having any luck. Sorry about that, but props to you out there if you're watching. And also, my two losses were against plants in the final round. I mean, that one, really don't know if there's anything I could have done to win that match. Plants are a ridiculous deck. I really don't know if I could have done anything to win that. But my other loss was to a rabbitless rabbit deck, if you can believe that. It was basically the whole deck was using dinosaur cards focused around summoning I want to call them evil Kaisers because that's what they were in Japan, but the Evolzar cards, Lagia and Dolka. Um, if you don't know them, they're really, really good, and you're going to be seeing a lot of them, so do your research. The deck, he was playing this basic strategy of Rabbit, but he didn't have Rescue Rabbit, so he was relying on swarming cards like Hydrogeddon, one of my personal favorite monsters from the GX era, and Jurek Waiba to summon them quickly that way, rather than using Rabbit and normal monsters, which I think his deck is actually more consistent than the actual Rabbit deck. So yeah, definitely. And my loss in that game was really my bad luck because I really sided very well against him, I think, but I just didn't draw in any of my side cards. But props to him if he's watching because that was an awesome, awesome deck and I loved it. I love the not using the rabbit. It's all about breaking the meta. It's all about breaking the meta. Yeah, my segment, funny, maybe not to you. But yeah, so on to the comparison. Right before I went to the tournament, I had this brainwave that I thought, what if what if, I know Mystical Space Typhoon is at 3 this format, as you well know. Most people are only playing 2 copies inside the third, and since Heavy Storm is around, that's a lot of spell and trap hate. But I had this brainwave where I've been testing a hero deck on Dueling Network, and since Destiny Hero Diamond Dude is a big part of it, I've been using this card, Nobleman of Extermination, rather than Mystical Space Typhoon, because obviously it's a normal spell. Diamond Dude can't trigger quick plays like Mystical Space Typhoon. And it's been doing really well. And I had this brainwave. I was like, well, what if I threw in 2 copies of Nobleman instead of my 2 copies of MST in my quick draw deck? So I sided 2 MSTs just in case it didn't go well, and put in the 2 Noblemans in the main deck. And overall, I loved Nobleman. I mean, it really, really. If you haven't played the card, you should. I don't understand why people aren't playing it this format over MST. It wrecks some shit, seriously. Um, well, let's just get to the comparison and you'll see what I mean. First off, we have Mystical Space Typhoon. Everyone knows what it does. It's quick play spell, which means it can be activated on either player's turn, provided that you set it. I mean, if you want to activate it on your opponent's turn, you kind of have to set it. You can quick play it in the standby phase. I don't know why you do that, but you can. Destroy 1 spell or trap card on the field. Face up, face down, doesn't matter. MST, it's obviously a staple card, very good for doing what it does, removing spells and traps. Spell trap hate is where it's at this format, apparently. So, yeah, MST, you know what it does. Then I'll move on to one of my favorite cards, like I said, and my tech choices format, Nobleman of Extermination. Like I said, normal spells, so it's not quite as speedy as its little brother, Mystical Space Typhoon, but it has a heftier, it packs a heftier punch than Typhoon does. Nobleman, you can only activate it to destroy a face-down spell or trap card, which means you can't target face-up cards like continuous cards. But in my opinion, that's not really a drawback this format, because if you're playing continuous spells or traps this format, you're dumb. I'm sorry, but it's true. With all the hate out there, you'd really have to be an idiot to waste space on that in your deck, unless it was really, really critical. And to be honest, I really haven't seen any decks that really support continuous spells or traps this format that are good. Other than, I guess, if you count field spells as a continuous, then I mean, sure, the Dark World field spell, the Gear Town, a lot of them are really good field spells, and I guess Space Typhoon is a little bit better for that. But like I said, drawbacks versus benefits. Nobleman, if you activate it, you target a face down spell or trap card and destroy it. If it happens to be a trap card, you then can remove it from play, and your opponent has to remove all copies of that card in their deck from play. Think about that for a minute. So if you activate this card first on your first turn before you summon any monsters, your opponent has that warning face down, thinking they're going to hit you with it first turn. Nobleman, boom, warning's gone. Every copy of warning in their deck is gone, so you don't have to worry about that for the rest of the duel. This thing is really, really good for that. I mean, this takes care of warning, judgment, deprison. Well, judgment not so much because you can only run one copy, but deprison. I really hate deprison, and a lot of and well, my quick draw deck hates it. My hero deck really hates it. If you heard my ninja video, ninjas really hate deprison. This card takes care of the deprisons, takes care of pretty much everything that you would set face down except Book of Moon, or chainable stuff. It doesn't take care of chainable stuff like Compulse and Threatening Roar, but then again, neither does MST. So you could argue. Also, the benefit of MST, like I said, you can set MST face down and activate it during your opponent's turn, so you can make sure they don't get off the effects of their chainable cards. But another one of my opinions, if you're playing MST face down this format, you're dumb, because I've done it. I've tried to play that way, and it almost always gets blown away either by Heavy Storm or another MST. So it's essentially a wasted card. So I don't see the value in playing MST face down this format, which is really, I think, the only advantage it has over Nobleman. And that is the big reason why I think you should be running Nobleman this format over MST. I mean, just try it out. I guarantee you'll like it. Sorry about that. I guarantee you'll like it. I mean, if you're really that worried about it, side Nobleman and main MST, or main Nobleman and side MST, just so you can switch it up if you have to and you really don't like it. But I guarantee you, if you try out Nobleman, I'm really trying to make waves with this. If you try out Nobleman, I guarantee you will like it more than MST this format. I know I did. I know it helped me out of a lot of jams. People's tried to side Chain Disappearance on me in at least 2 games that I know of. And this card took care of them both. Both games, banished it and all copies of it from their deck. They tried to play it on me first turn. Boom, gone. Nobleman is awesome, especially because Chain Disappearance is like the kiss of death for my quick draw deck. So yeah, I did say Chain right. Chain Disappearance is really the kiss of death for quick draw. So Nobleman worked really, really well at getting rid of that threat. Counters a lot of good side decking techniques. And like I said, really, in this format, I can't say anything about next format or how it'll change up, but I think this format, if you're not playing Nobleman over MST, then you're just nuts, because this card is awesome, awesome, awesome. I really can't state enough how good this is, this format. And not to say MST is bad or anything, but I just think this card, I'm not even trying to, I am trying to promote it, but all I'm saying is try this card out. I guarantee you will love it. So yeah, I guess, like I said, I usually decide a winner in these videos, so I've made it pretty clear already, and there's a little personal bias here because I love this card, but in my mind, this format, Nobleman wins over MST. I'm sorry, but this card has a lot more utility and can wreck a lot of stuff. If you use it at the right time in the right place, it's very, very good. So, yeah, the only advantage I see MST as having is you can't get rid of continuous cards, which people don't play, or you can't get rid of field spells, which more people do play actually than ever before with Dark World and Gear Town and all that kind of ridiculous fields, all those ridiculous field spells that run around. So yeah, and the Chaos Zone coming out in the next structure deck. But yeah, that's the only advantage I see right now. But I think you should definitely, unless you're against one of those decks, Nobleman is definitely the better choice. Yeah, so that's about it for the video. Like I said, I have been testing a hero deck on Dueling Network, and I am in the process of getting the cards for the real cards for it. So it's been testing very well. As soon as I get all of them, I will do a full deck profile on it on here on my Breaking the Meta segment. So stay tuned for that. And until next time, this is HyperDark19. Peace out, YouTube, and play the Nobleman. He's awesome.